Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Get Into Flow, the Mindset Shifting Podcast. I am here today with Jamie Lerner, a co-author of the book, The Ever-Loving Essence of You, and I am excited to speak with her about all kinds of topics. We're going to just let this flow, we're going to let this go, but one that really comes to mind is allowing. So, welcome, Jamie, to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
So tell us a bit about yourself and your journey and how you got to be where you are today.
Okay. So I was born with a knowing, and I think we all are. And over time, we just get further and further away from ourselves. And I really was blessed with the opportunity to remain eternally connected to myself, where mostly I only heard my own voice and was very inner directed. Um, I studied psychology. I got my master's in social work. I opened a practice, did psychotherapy, and realized that was not assisting people at all. Um, and I gave that up, studied travel, and now I do something really different, which is assisting people in assisting themselves to getting from where they are to where they want to be. And that resonates with me and feels a whole lot better. So that's what I do now.
Beautiful. And how wonderful that you were able to keep that connection to your inner knowing. Because you're right, so many of us, it's there. We know it's there, but we get off track. We listen to everybody else. What have you noticed in your work that leads people astray?
I think that we are not often given the message to look inward, and
Mhm.
we're not given the message very often to trust ourselves. And we're certainly not given the message very often that we are our own greatest resource. But I do believe all those things are true. So, yeah.
I agree. I agree. Well said. Thank you. So, something that you mentioned, the main message of your work, I just want to bring this up because I thought it was so beautiful. You've been known to say, even your biggest nightmare can become your greatest pleasure. It's all in the mindset.
Yes, this is true. I am really brilliant at helping people reframe. And I think reframing is a tool that if we can understand it and use it, that it really turns the worst upside down and creates the best of us. So yeah, I think we can reframe any moment, including something that really is very tragic.
Absolutely. I think that is a powerful tool that we don't realize we have access to. But when we learn it and when we put it in practice and then experience what that can bring us, then, I mean, for me, I just want to do it more. I just want to keep reframing, right?
Absolutely. And I think it gets easier and easier.
Like any practice, absolutely. So that brings me to the topic of allowing. So the art of allowing is something that you brought forward. And let me know from your words and your insight and your wisdom, what does that mean for you, the art of allowing?
Well, the art of allowing is a practice.
Mhm.
And it's something that we do need to practice because I think it's very foreign to most people. The ability to allow others to be who and where they are only comes from the ability for us to accept, understand, and to embrace who we are and where we are in the moment. So, if we can begin to really trust ourselves and know ourselves and understand that the decision making that we're making for ourselves is really only for ourselves, then we tend to extend the same courtesy to others
Mhm.
and allow them to be where they are, who they are, because really it has nothing to do with us. Bottom line is, it's none of our business. So when we feel good with ourselves, we
Mhm.
tend to feel good with other people's, no matter what they're doing or what their point of view is. We just allow them to be because we're in a good place with where we are with ourselves,
It all starts with us.
always.
Mhm. So many of us are trying to change our outer world, but what is difficult is that we have zero control. right? Which is what you're speaking to. We have no control over what other people are doing, saying. And I love that you said it's none of our business. It's true. It's none of our business. It's their business. Let them have it. So we really need to start with ourselves. That's the only thing we have control over, right?
Yes, and I don't want to correct you, but I don't think we need to, but we can. Like for some people, wherever they are and they're happy with being in that place,
Hmm.
I think that's great for them. But if you're finding yourself in judgment of others all the time, that doesn't feel good to us. And I think that that is a really good cue that we might want to shift around that and look inward and find out, what is it about where we are with ourselves that's creating that judgment of others.
Thank you for that clarification and precision. It's true. It's very important because we honor whatever you feel is right for you. If you're okay with where you are, we support that. But if there's anything within you that wants a bit of change or that maybe invites that kind of shift, we're here for you too. Yes. So, how does that play out in, let's say, a work environment where let's speak to the person who finds themselves in judgment a lot or is having a hard time connecting with people at work, like work dynamics. How does that play out?
Well, I believe that any judgment that we have of another is a projection of really how we're feeling about ourselves.
Mhm.
So I ask people to just get lovingly curious about that without judging themselves for judging, because we could go there too, and that's
Yeah.
unhelpful. So when we understand it's really not about the other, it's really hard for people to hear that too, because I think taking personal responsibility, even though it is our greatest superpower, there's a lot of resistance to that amongst people. We live in a victim society, and we are not encouraged to take personal responsibility. So to blame others, whether it's coworkers or, the company that we work for, I mean, it's a million things that we could blame, or we could begin to just look inward with loving curiosity and understand that maybe in this moment, we're not feeling so good about where we are. And what can we do around that?
What can we do around that? What would be a first step?
Well, first of all, it's a question, and I don't think it even has to have an answer. I think when we begin to ask a question, that is the beginning of things shifting. And the answer might be different every moment, but
Mhm.
I think it gives us self-empowerment to understand that it's really up to us to shift a little bit in perspective, to maybe take a deep breath or take a walk or shake it off, whatever's going on, and to come back and to have a new understanding of, where we are with ourselves in whatever the climate we're in.
Mhm.
So there are many things that we can do, but we're not there yet, because first we have to understand that it is only going to come from us. If we wait for the people around us to change or to perceivably treat us better, I think we're going to be very disappointed.
I agree. And
So
that's what's happening a lot. Yeah, absolutely. And I was definitely in a position as well where I wasn't happy at work and I was waiting for changes outside. I was waiting for management to give me what I thought I needed. I was waiting for people to do certain things a certain way. And obviously, like you predicted and said, I was disappointed. So, what ultimately needed to happen was I needed to change myself. And that's what we're saying.
So,
Yeah.
and we don't need to change ourselves, but maybe we need to change our perception or our perspective. And I think that's where reframing comes in.
Mhm. Absolutely. So, as a reframe, if someone has never heard that term before, can you just quickly break it down for us?
So I think oftentimes it's not the situation that we're having a problem with, but it's how we're feeling about the situation. So if we're uber focused on all the negative things that are going on, for a lot of people, it's interesting because they don't feel utilized enough in their job. Maybe they're feeling bored or they're feeling underappreciated because they're not being asked to do enough of what they were brought in to do.
Mhm.
So they feel like in some ways they have like maybe too much free time. Wow, that's amazing, what a luxury to have free time at work while you're sitting there, supposedly doing something that they've given you to do, but you've already done it. You could really use that time to figure out in your own mind
Mhm.
what you would like to be doing, where you would like to be working, what you would like to be appreciated for. So we get to have this time to kind of manifest, like, what do we want our job to be? And a lot of people haven't even begun to ask themselves that question. So um, that is an opportunity. That is a silver lining. That is a little bit of light that makes people go like, oh, wow, okay. Like this could be a good time to get paid to manifest my next job.
Yeah. And
A lot,
that's a reframe.
it is
That's a
a
change in
reframe.
perspective. Yeah.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't even know what they want.
Oh,
And
yeah.
therein also lies the problem. They just know
Hmm.
they don't want this. So contrast is everything that we are not wanting,
Hmm.
and contrast births desire, everything that we are wanting.
Hmm. It's true. We're more familiar with what we don't want, but we've never really stopped to ask ourselves and get curious. What is it that we do want?
Right. And most people have what they don't want because that's what they focus on. They have more of what they don't want. So the question is, what are you wanting?
And what you focus on becomes your reality.
Exactly.
Yes. And so if you all take anything away from this podcast, that line right there, what you focus on, what you bring attention to becomes your reality. And herein lies the choice. And herein lies the empowerment that we can all have to choose what we want to focus on.
Yes, and it happens moment by moment. These
Mhm.
are not big things. It's just one moment and the next moment. And if you find yourself in a moment uncomfortable, then check in with what you're thinking about, because
Mm.
that's what we get uncomfortable about is our thoughts.
I read a book that basically said that thinking is the cause of our suffering.
Yes.
Let's unpack that a bit because that book fascinated me and so true. Because what you think, and often we get caught up in our stories and our inner critic and our judgments, and that then makes us feel a certain way. So it makes sense that that loop and that never-ending cycle causes suffering because when we're stuck in our heads and we don't see the opportunity to reframe, to see another point of view, to look at what else could be possible, we're just kind of stuck in our current reality that we're unhappy with.
And stuck is also just a moment, something to think about.
I
Like
like
if
that.
you're stuck, it's just a moment. So, you know, to do anything to break that up, even to, shift in your chair, uh,
Hmm.
that is really helpful. So
Yes. Get that energy moving. Yes. So thinking, we don't even realize that we have an opportunity to change our way of thinking versus thoughts. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, but what my understanding was, thoughts happen. Like thoughts are just there, like in our subconscious, right? They appear, but then what we choose to focus on becomes what we're thinking. So that's more of like we have more control over that in that sense.
so how can we manage our thoughts? And I think that we have a lot of power and choice around that, but people are not clear how to tap into that.
Hmm. What is one thing you can help us understand about that?
There's this process called selective sifting, and it allows us to only focus on the things that we're hearing or reading or seeing that feel good to us. So after you practice this, you could sit with a group of people who
Mhm.
could be speaking very negatively about a lot of different things, but you won't even hear that. You'll only be able to hear the things that resonate with you.
Oh.
I think children do this all the time. And it's amazing, when we look at children, they really um, are able to show us many things that work. So, first to understand what does resonate with you.
Mhm.
So if you're reading something, if you're seeing something, really tune into what that preference is and understand that, maybe if it doesn't resonate with you, you can remove yourself without the judgment of what it is about it that doesn't resonate with you. Like, we
Mhm.
don't have to justify it. We don't have to say, like, I don't like those people because they're negative. We can just say, that's not for me, and move along.
But why do we feel that we need to justify? Because I feel like that is the natural reaction that we have. Like there needs to be a reason.
I don't even think people understand that feeling good all the time is a choice,
Mm.
or feeling good ever is a choice, but it is. And my belief is that well-being is our birthright, and that we really have come here to feel connected to ourselves and other people, and to
Mhm.
feel good.
I agree. I agree. But it doesn't, or I should say, but it takes work, would you say?
I think it takes practice, which doesn't
Practice.
have to feel like work. None of this has to feel hard. It can be fun. I think the most important thing is that you are able to catch yourself when it's going in that direction, and
Mhm.
without, reprimanding yourself or criticizing yourself, to just shift a little bit and focus on something that feels a little better. Because if this isn't resonating with you, what is? Can you
Mhm.
put your eye on something that is more pleasing? Can you put your attention on something that is more soothing? These are all choices that we can make as we navigate. It's a moment to moment, all day long.
Mhm.
And sometimes I'm in a place where I can't shake it. And then I have to say to myself, okay, I know that reading the news right now is really not serving me, but I cannot stop. So I'm going to allow myself the opportunity to do something that's not serving me. And I believe that there's a lot of power in the choice that you've made for yourself, even if it isn't good. Or I'm going to sit down and eat this entire pint of ice cream because in this moment it feels good, but I know it's not serving me. It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you for saying that. It is okay.
It's
Because if
okay.
you've chosen it, it's what you
Yeah,
needed at the time.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
that's okay. Which actually brings up a point of allowing yourself to sit with uncomfortable feelings. I've been learning about this a lot where, when it comes to emotions and feelings, we don't want to feel the icky things, rightfully so, or we've never been taught to move through them in a safe way. So there is this power in just allowing yourself to feel what needs to be felt because then it moves through you and you don't have to hold on to it. You don't have to bring it up to your mind and start thinking about it, which therein causes the suffering. So let's speak to emotions a little bit and just allowing yourself to just be with what you have within you right now.
I think to acknowledge that you're in that place with yourself is really good, especially if you have some tools,
Mhm.
because a lot of people end up stuck there in this either self-pity or just really feeling like a victim. Um, so I think that emotional intelligence is very helpful and very important. And um, if we can acknowledge what's happening without all the emotion, I think it's also very helpful because sometimes the emotion sweeps us away
Mhm.
or creates something far bigger than it needs to.
Yes, absolutely. It becomes something more than it needs to.
Yes. And then
So,
it's not serving us.
absolutely not. What I've learned is that if you just allow yourself to sit with those emotions for just a short time, and you speak a lot about, being in the moment, it is a moment, it is temporary, knowing that it will pass. You don't have to hold on to it. And I think there is a choice there. And when we make that choice to not feel it, that's when we do hold on to it. So we're actually doing the opposite of what we want to do. Like we don't want to feel it, so we push it down, but then it's eventually going to come back up. It's eventually going to be there.
Right. And I think also we can say something to ourselves like, let me think about this and get back to it. Because that gives us the opportunity to not look at it this moment, but to also keep that invitation for it to come up again at another time open.
Interesting. But will we go back to it is the question. How
I
can we
think
guarantee?
so. Our inner being is constantly tapping us on the shoulder, and
Hmm.
we're always brushing it off, like, not now, I'm busy, I can't. And at a certain point, when I think we're ready, then it gets our attention in a way that is productive and is useful to us. So um, I don't think that there's an expiration time or date on things that we ultimately will come to embrace and address,
Hmm.
but that will be helpful.
That's reassuring to hear.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's nice to know that the opportunity will be there and it will come at the moment when it needs to, when it really does need to be addressed. Yes. Wonderful. Tell us a bit more about the work that you do and where you're at now with how you work with clients, if you have any, or what kind of offers you have.
So I have a service that's not so new. I offered it before COVID, which was great timing, but it's
Yeah.
called the Quickie, a lovely texting option. And it's my favorite service because um, it allows people to buy a package of time and then to text me, and then I text them back. But ultimately, um, it's like an ongoing transcript of what they've said and what I've said, and then they realize that they knew for themselves all along. So I'm like the conduit. And it really gives people an opportunity to be more emotionally intelligent because you don't go on and on and on and on and on in a text like you would if you were talking to somebody. So it's very helpful, I think, for people to kind of condense, at least initially, what their concern is,
Mhm.
and then to go back and read it and to really understand that you do know for yourself most of the time. Um, and that is a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
And I hear that as the main theme and the main message that you know for yourself already. You already have the answers within.
Yes. You just have to tune in and hear them. And
Yes.
I think that people, more and more people are starting to do just that because they're not finding their way by looking outside of themselves. So, um, one of the things I ask clients to do is to, if you are going to go back, then go back from your right here now adult perspective because you're not small anymore. You're an adult, and sometimes we do feel small, but what you're dragging from then, does that really have anything to do with where you are now? And I think that the story and the picture changes when you're able to do it from your right here now adult perspective. So that is very helpful too for people.
That's beautiful as well to be able
Mhm.
to offer that to yourself. Yes. What is something that you want people to know about this work, about this practice, about everything we've talked about, or just in general? What is one message that you'd like for people to leave with?
So the connection to yourself is the basis and foundation for every other connection that you go on to have with another. You are your own greatest resource. Love yourself, trust yourself, know yourself. And this kind of work doesn't have to feel like work. It can be really fun. And what I find is that people end up laughing a lot with themselves, at themselves, but there's a lot of levity in it. And that's really nice too.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Jamie, for being here, for sharing so much wisdom with us. Um, that was wonderful. That was like short, concise, packed with so much information. The ways that we can connect to you will be in the show notes so people can reach out to you, maybe sign up for your texting service because that sounds amazing. Yes, that's actually a great idea. I've never
It's
heard
really
that.
nice. I was a little ahead of my time, but it worked out
Yeah,
great during COVID and it's working out great now.
still, that's amazing. Yeah. It's so personal, but like you said, there's something so interesting. If you're texting, you're not going to go in that loop or you're not going to overindulge as you would if you're like speaking to someone and you're venting. So beautiful, beautiful. Definitely ahead of your time, Jamie.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for the work that you do. It is needed in the world. Please keep it up. We need you.
Thank you for inviting me.